Her sister was a witch. Happy spooky season, and welcome back to the Creative Differences podcast. I'm Dallas, and I just want to say shout out to Brandon and Nadia. Congrats on getting married. I love you both. Wah, wah, wah.
Oh, hey, that's great. Congrats. I'm Colin, and welcome to October, probably my least favorite month of the year.
Hi guys, it's Demi, and oh my gosh, I'm turning 30 this week. Welcome to another episode of the Creative Differences podcast, your one-stop shop for movie reviews, Fancast Fridays, Throwback Thursdays, and a number of other pop culture-related items, including movie reactions. Today, we are doing reviews for so many things. So many things. We are reviewing Blonde, Intergalactic, Hocus Pocus 2, and Reservation Dogs Season 2.
Yes, so much. Also, I think we can all agree that turning 30 is the spookiest thing
about this month, yes. You want a nightmare? It's me turning 30.
Yep. Speaking of people who are 30, Gabby. So, as Demi will tell us soon, they kind of dialed back on Sarah Sanderson's thirst in the new Hocus Pocus.
As they should.
As thirst incarnate, Gabby was offended by this erasure, and she opted out of this episode. So,
oh my gosh.
We lost one. Anyway, before we get into the episode, please like, share, subscribe, tell the homies, write a review. Do whatever it is you do, because you didn't get us a gift for International Podcast Day a few days ago, and we're still a little hurt by that.
Not to mention, by now, my birthday has passed, Dallas's birthday has passed, Demi's birthday is coming up. Like, come on, what you doing?
Yeah, y'all gotta step up that subscription number. But all right, let's get into that movie that Demi watched and we didn't watch because we value our mental health.
All right, I want to start off by saying, before we do this, I want to preface this. We on this podcast do not like discussing things that we dislike. It is not a thing that we like doing. It's like an unspoken rule that we just usually try to avoid discussing things that we do not like. Now, do I like having critical discussions about movies I don't like? Absolutely. I just prefer doing it off mic.
Fair.
So we're going to try and get through this Blonde review as quickly as possible. Blonde, directed and written by Andrew Dominic, based on a novel by Joyce Carol Oates, starring Ana de Armas, Bobby Carnaval, Adrian Brody, and Xavier Samuels. IMDb summary: a fictionalized chronicle of the inner life of Marilyn Monroe. That might be true if this movie actually cared about the internal life of Marilyn Monroe. God, this movie is exhausting.
How long is this movie?
2 hours and like 46 minutes or something like that.
Jesus.
I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
It's almost 3 hours. I'm going to start with the positives first, because there are positive things about this movie. There are things that I like about it. We're going to start with Ana de Armas, who is an actress I love. I've talked about being a fan of hers since I saw her in Blade Runner 2049 and seeing her and being like, wow, she's a star. She's incredible. She has so much screen presence. And that is true here. She's amazing in this role. And I expected as much. She was the reason I was excited for this movie. The idea of Ana de Armas playing Marilyn Monroe, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Anna's great. I mean, her accent is still there pretty prevalently throughout the movie.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, though, she does, like, there were moments in the movie where I was like, ooh, yo, that voice was dead on for Marilyn Monroe. She's doing so great, and she's so talented, and it's so hard to look away from her on this in this movie, which is unfortunate because of all the bad things that are happening to Marilyn in this movie. But she definitely holds your attention. I wish that they had written Marilyn differently and given her something more or something else to work with. The visuals are also so wonderfully done. The cinematography is beautiful. The production design, the costume design. I consistently talk about loving aspect ratio changes. The changes in this movie have like no rhyme or reason behind them except to match whatever photograph that Dominic is trying to recreate, which is fine. I think that's kind of cool in and of itself. I know that his intent was that he wanted you to feel what's happening less so than witnessing it. That kind of fits that not having a rhyme or reason kind of fits the idea of like your emotions have no rhyme or reason. They just kind of happen sometimes. So I think that's an interesting choice artistically. However, there's far too much fetus imagery in this movie. Please stop.
Don't like that.
I am somebody who watched a TV show that had a talking penis in it this year.
That's true. You did.
And I love that show. But a talking fetus was a lot.
Now, when you say fetus, we're talking in the womb fetus?
Yes. Yes, we are.
Oh, no.
Like that commercial? You guys remember that commercial where the fetus is talking to his mom, like, stop eating so much spicy food?
No, I don't, and I'm glad I don't.
Yo, it was insane. It was like one of those commercials that used to be on MTV. He was like, yo, man, my friend, his mom ate nothing but spicy food. He came out red, mom, bright red. I don't remember what the commercial was about, but it was insane. Y'all remember in the audience?
Yeah, this is more insane, I promise you, because it's the fetus asking her not to kill it like it did last time. I was like, what? What is happening?
Why? Oh, whatever. You don't have time to unpack all that.
Well, I don't have time to unpack this entire film. I don't have the time. I don't know if I have the energy. Now we're going to jump into the negatives about this film, and I'm trying to run through them real quick. This is nearly 3 hours of trauma porn. It starts with Norma Jean suffering from child abuse, and it ends with Marilyn Monroe killing herself, and it has various traumatic experiences portrayed in between with no moments of levity or introspection after each trauma. I've seen some people say that the movie is exposing like all the trauma that she went through, but also why aren't we allowed to witness the ways that Marilyn Monroe overcame and took her life into her own hands at times? We get like 20 minutes of build up to a traumatic event, and then we jump into, okay, another 20 to 30 minutes of building up to another traumatic event. And that's a lot. That's a lot to do.
It feels like it just feels like not, like structurally, it sounds not very interesting. Like if you never have a moment to breathe.
I think those 20 minutes are supposed to be your moment to breathe, and they're not very good breathing moments.
That's the thing, because you also said that you felt like there was no introspection. So then what the fuck is the point of this movie? Because usually when you do like biopics or these fictionalized things about celebrities, the point is that you get a sense of who they are as a person. But if you're not doing introspection, you're just getting a sense of what happened to her, and that doesn't seem worth it to me.
Speaking of who they are as a person, I don't like how they've written Marilyn to be exactly what she hated being seen as in life, which is a sexualized, dumb blonde. In my opinion, the film infantilizes her, it removes her agency, and it makes her only a victim of these things that happened to her. She was also so much more than that, and I don't think this movie really cared about anything outside of her own suffering. And I think the director has basically said as much in a recent interview. You guys should probably check out an interview that Andrew Dominic did with it's like a Sound magazine or something like that. It became a really big thing like the day before the movie came out, and I read it and just, I don't know, man. I feel like he doesn't like Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe from everything I've heard. It's like, yo, why did you make this movie about this person you did not like?
Yeah. So if you want to watch a marathon of torment for 3 hours, by all means. But I think that there are probably better Marilyn Monroe films that you could be watching. Even Bombshell is a better fictionalization of Marilyn Monroe's life, and that's a fictional Broadway show that won a fictional Tony.
So we have a little bit here. He was being interviewed by someone whose last name is Newland. When Newland asked Dominic about the potential harm in his fetishization of Marilyn's tragic aesthetics, he replied, "I'm not interested in reality. I'm interested in the images." He said some more shit, I'm sure. But
he did. I read that entire interview, and oh boy.
Which is also like he's adapting a fictionalized story.
Yeah, he's adapting a fictional novel about Marilyn Monroe.
Oh my God. Okay. If you look at Marilyn Monroe, she's got everything that society tells us is desirable. She's famous, she's beautiful, she's rich. If you look at the Instagram version of her life, she's got it all. And she killed herself. Now, to me, that's the most important thing. It's not the rest. It's not the moments of strength. Okay, she wrested control away from the men at the studio because, women are just as powerful as men. But that's not really looking at it through a lens that's interesting to me.
These are exact words from this director. So imagine a movie about Marilyn Monroe based in that opinion of her.
Like, oh my God.
That's 3 hours of what this film is.
Straight up said, the moments of strength don't matter to me.
Like Netflix, why did y'all let him get this?
Why did you let him make this movie?
Y'all said like, whoa, not you though. Anybody else?
Yeah. So basically, my final thoughts are Megan Hilty as Ivy Lynn playing Marilyn Monroe is a much better example of the person. Also, shortly after watching Blonde, I watched The Prince and the Showgirl, which was recommended to me by Gabby. Thank you, Gabby. I had to make it up to Marilyn's spirit that I watched that movie. And that movie is a cute gem of a rom-com. Marilyn Monroe is fabulous in it. She's funny and she's so charming, and her character gets to run circles around Laurence Olivier's. So I highly recommend watching that instead of watching Blonde.
Sorry, I zoned out because I was reading more of this bitch. What movie did you watch?
I watched The Prince and the Showgirl.
You should have watched Gentlemen Prefer Blondes because according to Andrew Dominic, he doesn't like the way women are portrayed in that because they're well-dressed whores.
Yeah, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes is next on my list.
Okay. I mean, I'm glad that you can take this and get something out of it.
I also recommend Some Like It Hot.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
We're just going to recommend a bunch of Marilyn Monroe movies. Watch those instead. Unless you really just want to be sad for 3 hours straight.
I just did he not say any of this until the movie was already done? Because if you walk into my office and you say, this is the movie I want to make and this is how I feel about the main real person I'm portraying, I would say, get out.
Yeah, how did you get in here? And why do your interviews read like a manifesto on Reddit?
He said that the movie is like adhering very closely to the novel. So I'm like, yo, why would you? The fact that a woman wrote this novel, I'm just like, what are we doing? Why?
That's where my question's lie. Like, what's up with the novel? He adapted this from a book, and the book was just like,
I don't
what
think
if everything was terrible?
it being written by a woman matters because this is the same woman who is complaining that white guys can't get published anymore.
That's true. She did say that.
So
yeah, the movie that I spent 2 years being extremely hyped up about because I wanted to see Ana de Armas play Marilyn Monroe was not worth that 2 years of hype.
well, it sounds like she was.
Oh, she was absolutely worth all the hype. She always is. Ana de Armas is great. Will she get an Oscar nom for this? I kind of hope so because her performance is good enough. It's fantastic.
If you're going to go through that much trauma porn and you have to act through that, you better get an Oscar nom.
Also, I never want to hear her say the word daddy again.
Yeah, you got to pick better movies, baby girl.
She usually does.
Yeah, she has a good track record.
Knives Out was only a few years ago.
Knives Out's fantastic. Third movie here. She's got lots of dope movies.
I mean, she's great in the 10 minutes of No Time to Die that she's in. Everybody wanted a spin-off based off of that.
Isn't she going to be in the John Wick spinoff? Or is that not?
Yes, the ballerina.
Yeah, she got her thing.
Let's move on to far more wholesome things. Intergalactic.
Hell yeah. I'm excited. Intergalactic. Where are my notes? Intergalactic is created by Kid Cudi and Kenya Barris. You know Kenya Barris. He made Blackish, Ish, Grownish, Mixed all the issues, Black AF, and apparently developed America's Next Top Model. I didn't know that.
I think I did know that.
I was like 11 when that came out.
I used to watch it religiously.
That makes sense. It seems like you're trying to vibe.
Really? I don't seem like a reality show person, do I?
Not. It's just like that show, when it came out, had a chokehold on a lot
little
of
black
people.
girls. It did.
Yeah. And I feel like, you were a little black girl.
I was.
Anyway, it's directed by Fletcher Moules, who doesn't have a whole lot of directing credits on IMDb, but has worked in like art departments for The Matrix. He's done special effects for Star Wars Episode 2. He was a creature technician, so he did some creature things. Yeah, and he worked for Clash of the Clans with that mobile game.
Is that mobile game that people keep shilling out for?
Yes. So he's varied in his experience. It was written by Ian Edelman and Maurice Williams. Maurice, to my knowledge, this is his first writing credit, so shout out to Maurice. And Ian was a writer for How to Make It in America, which stars Kid Cudi, so that makes sense. Speaking of, it stars Kid Cudi, Jessica Williams, Ty Dolla $ign, Timothy Chevrolet, and Laura Harrier. You
could at least say his name properly when we're announcing who the cast list is.
They know I'm talking about Timothy Chalamet. And the IMDb summary states, Jabari is a charming streetwear-clad artist on the cusp of real success. After a chance run-in with his cool new neighbor, Meadow, Jabari has to figure out whether he can make space for love in his life. And I just want to say, call Guillermo del Toro. We got a cinema on our hands. Only that line is call Martin Scorsese, but this feels, it's very PLC, and Del Toro has stated that he loves it, so call Del Toro. I love this so much.
It was really, really good.
It's so dope, and I'm so happy because I was excited when I saw the trailer, and then I was like, cool, new Netflix show. And then I went on Netflix to see, how many episodes, how long they are, and I was like, oh, this is not a show. It's a special.
It's a television special.
Yeah, on, Netflix, because that's television now. And I was like, cool.
But also, I think Cudi called it season 1, or at least his album said season 1, so maybe they're...
So initially it was supposed to be a show. They said it was announced as a series, and then they announced that it's going to be a special. So I don't know if they're going to keep going with it. That would be dope. Or if they just decided to make it all one thing. Either way.
Just make it an anthology.
I'm with it. But yeah, I saw a clip of Cudi talking about how he hasn't seen too many rom-coms with us. I'm assuming he meant black people. And that inspired him to do Intergalactic. And as I was watching it, I was like, oh, snap. Yes, this is literally a rom-com. And I come to the conclusion that black stories set in New York might be the key to making me like rom-coms. because Brown
What about
Sugar,
black stories set in California?
I can't think of any rom-coms that I know of that are-
Exactly. If they said it in California,
Well,
I think you just need black people.
I'm sure it would help. I'm just saying, going off of what we have, they're both of my favorites right now are set in New York.
It sounds like you feel the same way about this as I do, or about the genre as I do about when I saw Mr. Malcolm's List, and I was like, oh, I finally get why people like Regency period dramas.
Right.
Just put people of color in there. Go, go,
Yes,
go.
we make everything better. Just keep doing people of color and Timothy Chalamet with the fade.
Shalimar with the fade.
So you liked it. I liked it. We both liked it.
I did. I loved the animation style. It was very similar to Into the
beautiful.
Spider-Verse, but different enough to be its own thing. Like
Yes.
the visuals are so beautiful and colorful. You can make posters out of just almost anything that's in this movie, that
Yeah.
television special, in this thing, in this project, in this creative endeavor.
In this thing, yeah.
I think it's a great modern rom-com. You're really rooting for Jabari and Meadow to succeed, and the inevitable relationship obstacle that they go through feels believable and real instead of something that someone just had to come up with because this has to happen in order for this to work.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's a rom-com. Every rom-com has to have that moment, catalyst for something that's going to make everything fall apart. And I think in this one, I was like, oh, this is believable. And I don't hate either person for how this went down.
And nobody's being a hussy. Thank you for that. Because even in Brown Sugar, they hoeing all over New York.
We're just assuming somebody's being a hussy.
But I love it. No cheating hoes. That's my, give that to me. That's my bag.
I think the cast is also dope.
They're so good. Like the animation making everybody pretty much look like their characters, except for Timothy Cabernet.
Vanessa doesn't really look like hers. I think actually Timothy looks more like his character.
I can't see Timothy with a fade.
That's the only thing. It's that if you it's like I have to imagine Timothy with no hair, but it looks like Timothy otherwise.
Okay, because Laura Harrier looks exactly like Colin.
Oh yeah, she does.
They did a really good job with Meadow and Jessica Williams.
That looks exactly like Jessica.
Ty Dolla $ign looks just like Kai. Like they did a really good job. But yeah, this cast is great. I didn't know Kid Cudi was such a good voice actor, or Jessica Williams.
I didn't know that Kid Cudi could act, so he and Ty Dolla $ign really surprised me. And Jessica Williams, I've become such a huge fan of hers in like the past year, and she's just fantastic in this. I love her as Meadow.
She's great. Vanessa Hudgens is great as
she's so
essentially
funny.
Gabby, because she's just like...
Wait, she is. She's Gabby.
I wrote down she's great as the thirsty friend, and then I realized as I was watching, I was, oh, this is Gabby. I heard Vanessa Hudgens' character, Karina, I think is her name, describe getting piped and being fallacious way more than I anticipated in this movie.
But also,
in such great detail.
She's also the one in a serious monogamous relationship.
Yeah. And she's just telling her friend, like, yo, you ain't trying to suck that dude. Like, it's
so good.
It's so Gabby.
Vanessa's really great.
Great. I love
she's
all
so
the friend, like both groups of friends. Like
are
Meadow
really
and Karina are great. I could watch 2 hours of just Jabari, Kai, and Jimmy hanging out in that apartment, because their dynamic between the three of them, of like Kai being basically a nigga. Like, oh man, you gonna get friend zoned by this girl, blah, blah, blah. She gonna be with some nigga named Vallard. And then Jimmy's like, bro, who hurt you? This is my favorite Timothy Chalamet thing ever. He's so good.
I was going to say, I'd love to see Timothy Chalamet do more roles like this.
Me too.
Because he never gets to. He never does. We need more black artists working with Timothy Chalamet.
Right. Bring him in.
Because then what he can do is like have Greta Gerwig visit the set and just be like, hey, look, they exist.
She knows that. She's making Barbie.
That's true. There are at least some black people in Barbie.
I think Laura Harrier is also really great as Carmen.
She is. Everybody's so good. Macaulay Culkin pops up.
Yeah. Downtown Pat.
Downtown Pat. Like, Macaulay Culkin. Jaden Smith is great for his little scene that he has. Everybody's really good.
Yeah, I thought the relationships and the friendships they like all had really good chemistry. Also, the music is a really important part of this because it's basically a visual album.
Yes.
And I really wanted to listen to the album immediately after. I didn't, because it was 1:00 in the morning when I finished watching Intergalactic. So
same. I think I started it at like 1:00 in the morning.
It's like it was too late in the night for me to be starting an album.
So late. The music does slap. Andre 3 Stacks isn't like the first song that plays, which I don't think is on the album, which disappoints me. But I was so happy to hear him. I was like, oh, I'm going to love this. I knew 3 minutes in, I'm going to love this.
Yeah, each song would start, and I was just like, oh, yo, this bangs. Oh, yo,
right.
This bangs. Because I've never really listened to Kid Cudi outside of like Day and Night, because that one's super popular.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I know like the type of stuff that he talks about in his music, but I've never really like listened to him.
Yeah. just to finish, the visuals I think are probably my favorite thing about this, aside from how
They
funny
should be. It's
all of the
amazing.
comedic parts are. But yeah, like the art style, the way that everything interacts with the world, like all of his art, because he's a street artist,
Yeah.
all of the Mr. Rager art style, like kind of interacting with him and the people around him are fantastic. The way they do the text on the screen, like the FedEx truck moves when we see Carmen, it says the X because that's his ex. I was like, oh, I love it. And with him being a visual artist and her being a photographer, her being Meta, it just makes me wish I had any kind of visual artistic talent whatsoever.
I do.
You do. And it's just like, oh, this is so inspiring. I wish I could draw and just draw on the walls, but it would look
I
ugly.
can't do that. I'm not that good of a visual artist. You want me to paint something? Like if you want me to spray paint something together, I got you. But
yeah, I gotta work on that. I'm not gonna work on that. But yeah, it's very good.
But yeah, you mentioned Keith David. That was a nice little
It was fantastic.
surprise.
It's fantastic. Also, I love the way that the art styles change when they're telling their stories. Because I thought they're going to do that once when Ty Dolla $ign is talking about having sex with a Russian hacker.
Yeah, and
And
then
then-
Karina's turns into an anime when she's talking about her first date with her man.
Right. In a Japanese restaurant.
And then Downtown Pat's was like a real simplistic, almost stick figure looking type
Mhm.
of art style. This is really
Which
cool.
fits for him. It's great. It's wholesome. More Black love. More art styles like this. I want more of all of what this is.
Yeah, I like this new art style emergence that's coming with Into the Spider-Verse, Arcane, and now Intergalactic.
I'm with it. Colin, I think you would like this maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might watch it.
Yeah.
You also have a bias towards animation anyway, so
This is true. And it's only like an
Yes.
hour and a half, so
Which I'm realizing I have not the bias to the same level that you do, but I do love anime. Like animation will make me more interested in a thing usually. So
I do not have this.
I vibe with you, Colin. To me, does not have this. But yeah, that's Intergalactic.
Great. Okay, so we're jumping into another wholesome thing. Hocus Pocus 2.
Hocus Pocus 2.
Yes, directed
Revenge
by
of the
Anne
Pocus.
Fletcher, written by Jen D'Angelo, starring Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy, Sarah Jessica Parker, Whitney Peak, Belissa Escobedo, Lilia Buckingham, Sam Richardson, and Doug Jones. IMDb summary. 3 young women accidentally bring back the Sanderson sisters to modern-day Salem and must figure out how to stop the child-hungry witches from wreaking havoc on the world. It's not on the world. It's mostly just on Salem.
Yeah, on the mayor specifically for the most part.
Yeah, and it's not 3 young women. It's actually 2 young women accidentally bring back the Sanderson sisters. The third one gets roped in later.
Yeah. She kind of just pops up later. Like, hey, we got to stop these witches. But I'm living my life right now.
Yeah. I mean, hey, her life was in danger though, just by being. But yeah, it's just as campy and goofy as the predecessor.
It is.
I mean, it is. Yeah, from jump, I'm like, yo, this is just as campy, just as goofy. I really like how the story uses nostalgia and the things that fans love about the first Hocus Pocus while also bringing it into contemporary times. Like they use the audience's love of the Sanderson sisters and make that a thing within the movie, which is kind
It's
of
very
meta.
meta.
Yeah. And I thought
Also-
that was a great idea.
Someone's watching Hocus Pocus on TV in one of the
They
scenes.
are. They
Which-
are. They completely break the fourth wall here.
Jordan looked at me. She's like, were they watching Hocus Pocus? I was like, wait,
Yes.
I have questions.
They were, and they make a bunch of different references to the first movie within the movie itself, which I think is great. Not just like, oh, we're making callbacks. Like, no, there are people dressed up in similar costumes to characters from the OG film, which is really interesting. Like, there are people who are dressed up as Gary Marshall and Penny Marshall in that movie.
Oh, is that the devil and his wife?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's wild. And I think it's also a nice story about sisterhood, and it ties together really well at the end. I was not expecting the end to be as heartfelt as it was.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. It kind of made sense given, how they established the relationships between sisters and such. But yeah, it's not what I expected.
Based off like the first Hocus Pocus, like you guys made a lot of jokes in the throwback, which you guys can find. We just released a throwback Thursday for the original Hocus
Yeah.
Pocus. Go ahead and check out
Watch
that
it.
reaction. But you guys talked quite a bit about how like ruthless these characters are in trying to get rid of the witches.
I want to watch him
And-
die.
Yeah. And the 3 teenage girls in this movie are not like that at all, and actually find a more humane resolution to their conflict, which is
Yeah, I
interesting.
kind of miss Danny and her bloodlust, but we can't all be Danny.
We shouldn't all be Danny. There shouldn't be that many of them out there, really, to be honest. I think the cast is fantastic. It feels like Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy, and Sarah Jessica Parker never left these roles. They're just as goofy and over the top and as fun as they were in the first movie.
I mean, we could argue that maybe Sarah's not quite as fun because they
She's
took
not
some
as
of the thirst out.
thirsty.
And
Yeah.
if you're not here for the thirst of Sarah Sanderson, then what are you really here for?
I don't think a lot of people were there for that.
Hey, Colin, this ain't about you. You didn't see the movie.
I mean, yeah, but like, I just feel like they're like Disney wasn't marketing it like, hey, she's back. If she's hornier than ever, like
I mean, they were
She's
marketing
back.
that she's back. They just
That
weren't
she's
marketing that she's
hornier than ever.
hornier than ever.
Uh,
The young girls who also were playing their younger selves were really great at matching their mannerisms.
yeah, Little Winnie was really good because she had the most to do, obviously
Oh,
being
absolutely.
Winifred, and with that story being what it was, like she was killing it, doing her goofy little mouth thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one playing Kathy Najime's character had to do the mouth thing.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the way that they used "Come Little Children" at the beginning of the movie and how
Yo,
that impacts Sarah more so than the other two girls.
Hannah Waddingham,
She's great in that one scene she's in.
she's so amazing, and I'm very upset that she's only in that one scene. Although that's pretty much what I expected. I still wanted her to pop in later, just for whatever reason. I don't know why. I just wanted her. She was so good, and she
And
looked
she
great
looks
as a
really good.
witch. She looks really good, man.
That's where the
I'm not gonna
thirst
get all
comes in
Sarah
for
Sanderson
this.
about it, but I was like, yo, Hannah. Never mind.
Never mind. I thought Whitney Peak.
Oh.
We're gonna move straight past the thirst. I thought that Whitney Peak, Melissa Escobedo, and Lilia Buckingham were like great additions as our teen trio. I liked how smart and clever their characters were made to be, and how they tied their stories together with the theme of sisterhood.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam Richardson is he's so funny as always, and I really like what they did with his character because I was not expecting it.
He's my favorite part of the movie. Sam Richardson's amazing. So, to get this out of the way, because I don't even think Demi knew I saw this movie when we started this.
I didn't. Not until you started talking about it, and then I was like, "Oh, he watched it."
Yes. If you have seen our throwback or have talked to me before, you know that Hocus Pocus isn't really my bag. And
I was
I feel
gonna
the same
ask
way
you,
about
yeah.
this because it's very similar. So, like, if you like the first one, I think you'll like this. They did the
I do
same
too.
things very well. Yeah. So, it's not my cup of tea, but I'm not going to say, like, oh, this is bad. It's just, it's not for me. But Sam Richardson has probably my favorite joke in the movie when he's talking about the virgins lighting the candle and that little kid asks him what a virgin is.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, let's talk about the fact that these kids movies keep throwing the word virgin around without asking, hey, what if kids ask what that means?
Yeah,
And the way he
this movie
responds
was
is
like,
great.
we're not doing that this time around. We are not going to be calling people out on their virginity.
Yeah, because
They
the
tried
first
it
one goes
once.
hard.
The first one goes hard, but yeah, at least in this one we do the opposite because someone is like, well, I can't light the candle because and I'm like, yo, but it was very funny. Shout out to Sam.
Yeah, he's super funny in this movie. I really liked it. Yeah, I liked that they made it similar in tone and in the same vein as the original Hocus Pocus movie, but it's different enough with the story because like the witches are after something else. They're after something different. Our main trio are also after something different. Like, yeah, they want to get rid of these witches, but also they've got something else that they are dealing with outside of that. That's very different from what our original teenagers were going through in the first movie. So it's still like the story elements they've got different things to give you, but while still giving you something that's similar to what you got last time.
Yeah, they did some interesting things. Shout out to Tony Hale. I feel like his scene in the beginning, that was kind of the Hocus Pocus is a lot for me in the humor. But when he's in the present day, his character, I enjoyed a lot more.
Oh yeah, when
Just
he's
like the way,
the mayor.
and like everybody sees the Sanders sisters and they think that they're just people dressed up because it's Halloween, and he's like, oh, got a whole performance going. Like the way that Tony Hale gives his lines is great. Also, I really like the jock, the old girl's boyfriend.
I think that's Froy Gutierrez's character. He's so dumb.
He's so dumb, but in this weird, endearing way toward the end, like when he's talking about, like, oh yeah, I don't make fun of you guys, and he just kind of describes what it means to make fun of. I just, talk about what you do and say that it's weird to me and blah 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 blah. And then they explain to him what he's been doing. He's like, oh, I have so many people to apologize to, and it's like, oh, he's not mean, he's just dumb. I love that.
So dumb, which I guess would explain why old girl is with him still by the end of the movie. I'm going to finish this up. They gave the Sanderson sisters an original song, which is super fun, and they also gave them a new musical performance. Neither of these things outdo I Put a Spell on You. Nothing ever will, but they are so much fun, and I love it. It's great. Like when they first appear and they start doing a musical number, and they're like, who is this musical number for? It's for us. It's for the audience. It's for us, you guys. I also love that it's diegetic, as we like to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're watching from the side and the music lowers, but you can still clearly hear that it's in the background, and they're just like, "What are we witnessing? What's
What's
going
going on?
And the effects and the visuals on this movie are actually pretty good. It looks better than the first one, which it should, given that it's been 29 years, but the visuals aren't
Yeah.
giving Disney Channel this time around.
Right, which we appreciate.
So yeah, if you liked the first Hocus Pocus, you will probably like the second one. Do I think you'll think it's as good as the first one? Probably not. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, but
Yeah.
you know.
And then, you have the crowd who's like, inherently, they want to dislike sequels that come out way later. It's like, oh, we didn't need another one. This is a cash grab, and why are they even making the movie? That's what they sound like to me.
Chill out and have
But
fun.
yeah, if you're not one of those people, you might vibe with it.
I would definitely. I think this will go on my Halloween movie watching list. Just watch Hocus Pocus and then Hocus Pocus 2 back to back.
I could see that. You're afraid to watch the real Halloween movies. I'm just
Absolutely.
kidding.
No, you're right. Go ahead. You should say
I
it.
was kidding about them being like quote unquote real Halloween movies.
Oh,
Watch what you want.
Scary movies, yes. Real scary movies. I don't do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Last on our review list, Reservation Dogs.
Res Dogs Season 2. Created by Sterling Harjo and Taika Waititi. Starring Devery Jacobs, Tefera Woon-a-Tai, Lane Factor, and Paulina Alexis. The summary is still a comedy series about 4 Native American teenagers growing up on a reservation in eastern Oklahoma.
I don't really have much to say about this. For me, I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's still a really great show.
I was like, I watch it and I think, what do I have to say about this? It's a lot of the stuff I liked from season 1. They do a lot of the same things well. I will say I enjoyed season 1 more, but that's because I really enjoy the dynamic of all 4 kids together.
I was going to say, the thing that I missed most this season was having all 4 of the kids together. But I do think that it was important that they be separated, obviously, for story reasons. But by the time we
Yeah.
get to the end of the season, when we finally do get them back together, it feels so good.
Yeah, it does feel like a nice culmination and a nice catharsis. Like, the gang's back together. The boys are back
Yeah.
in town. The thing is back in the thing.
They're not really back in town. They're actually in a different town.
Yeah, they're way out of town. Yeah, it still makes you laugh. It still makes you sad.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that this season felt heavier than last season, or maybe that's just because I've been going through life stuff since it came out.
Could be that.
Yeah, but I kind of expected that it was going to be pretty heavy, like from the trailer. And
Mm-hmm.
like there seemed to be this theme of grief throughout the entirety of the season. But the show is still really, really funny, in my opinion. And I love these characters so much.
Yeah.
I think Willie Jack and Cheese really grew on me a lot more this season. I don't know why. I liked them last season, but this season
Right.
they left even more of an impression on me than they did last season.
I feel like last season we got like an episode for Willie Jack to really be the focus, but we get more with her, I think, with the whole thing with her and Jackie and her being the one to try to bring the group together. Cheese gets his own episode, which is great.
Yeah, maybe I think they both got their own episodes last season too, but I think maybe this time around it felt more like they had a through line throughout the season of what they were going through.
Yeah. And they were already my favorites last season. And that was
Cheese is
reaffirmed this season.
adorable.
Cheese is so good. The episode where he goes to that group home, I think it's probably my favorite of the season. I really like Mark Maron, and shout out to him being the token white comedian that they bring in. Last season it was Bill Burr. This time it's Mark Maron. And just that whole episode. Tino, that thug who's like really nice to Cheese.
Yes.
When they're like jumping that dude, he's like, yo, new guy, you want to get some licks in? And she was like, nah. He's like, all right, just thought I'd offer. But, don't snitch. We have to soap you up too. And then he like pats his head. Is like, get some sleep, little homie.
Yeah. He was just, oh my gosh, just such a weird character, but it was so funny.
And that episode exemplifies something that I always find interesting because, our group of friends, we talk in a certain way that is very socially conscious and aware of, things you shouldn't say and blah, blah, blah. Not everyone's like that. And it doesn't mean everyone is malicious. Some people just don't know because they don't hang out in the same circles. They don't spend the same time. But like when because Cheese, adorable as he is, introduces himself with his pronouns whenever he's talking to somebody. And he's like, oh, I'm Cheese. My pronouns are he, him. And Tino was like, oh, you gay? That's cool. My cousin bi and shit. And he's like, I think you're supposed to say queer. And then later on, like, he listened, like Tino listens to him. And then later on when they're talking, it's like, yo, Cheese, why do you talk like that? It's like, oh, he queer. And it's just like, he's trying. He doesn't get it. but he's trying to learn, and
The
it's
pieces
just
haven't clicked together yet.
exactly. It's just like what I gathered from this lesson was, oh, you're queer. It's like no, that's not. But
That's not the lesson at all, but I'm
yeah,
glad that you got something out of it.
he's trying.
The
Man,
I think Bear is still my favorite character. I don't know why Bear. It's always Bear. I think I just like how I think Bear just sort of feels like the leader of the group to me. And I think he carries that on his shoulders a lot.
I feel like he feels like the leader to himself as well,
Yeah.
but not
But Alora's the
to
actual leader.
everyone. Well, she like I don't know if she can be. She just dips out.
That's
for a
true.
lot
She
of the
can't be
season.
in this season because I think that's a lot of where that whole strife comes in with the group though. I think Laura
Yeah.
was basically the actual leader, whereas Bear is kind of like the figurehead. Yeah, I liked Bear's, construction storyline.
hmm
Bear is like always my favorite, but I found Alora also to be very relatable this season.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Devery on Echo when that finally comes out. She's gonna be great. And I like the way that like the season wraps up. I think the season finale might be my favorite episode, mostly because it's the group back together again, but also
hmm
because it feels like there's resolution for
Right.
the story of Daniel, which is a story that we've been going with, even though like the show is pretty episodic.
hmm
The story of Daniel is kind of the story that's been going since episode 1.
Yeah, and it kind of looms over everything. Like
Yeah.
a
And
lot
I
of
think
what
that
they do
resolves.
is influenced by that.
Yeah, and I like the way that the group comes together to finish that storyline off. We're kind of left not on a cliffhanger, but we're left in a place where it's like, well, who knows what might happen next season? Anything could happen.
Yeah, like what's up with these kids? Shout out to Amber Midthunder. When
Love
she
her.
came in for episode 6, like after seeing her in Prey so recently, her
Yeah.
character in this as the native kind of hippie influencer chick who's just really easygoing and all that, it's just she's so great. It's an interesting show. I like it. I still like it.
She seems to be on the come up at the moment. She'll come up later.
Yes, it's a special tool that we'll use later.
It
Get
is.
that if you have kids that watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
But yeah, Reservation Dogs is a fantastic show. If you haven't watched it, you should. It's on Hulu. It's a fantastic show. It's a great comedy. There's a lot of great drama as well. Don't know what else to say about that.
My recommendations are always more specific, as we talked about a few days ago. I feel like if you like those,
If you like shows like Atlanta, you'll probably like it.
right, like a comedy that will turn to a drama on you without warning, and you just have to be ready for it, like Atlanta, Dave, a lot of FX stuff, to be honest. They're really good at that.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, you'll probably like it.
Streaming comedy has kind of been going down that path recently.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh, you thought you was going to laugh? Not today. It's going to be a sad one.
Oh, you thought you was going to laugh? It's going to be real weird.
Also, they go to season 3. Bang, bang.
Which we talked about, I think, last review.
Nice.
Colin, give us your 10-minute take.
Yeah, what'd you watch?
Because we're not really going to do what you've been watching, but we are going to do a 10-minute take with Colin.
All right. So this 10-minute take was actually a bit longer than 10 because I was trying to decide if I wanted to watch the full thing. Ultimately, I decided I didn't, but I watched the first probably 13, 14 minutes of Mo because that's what the random number generator generated for me. It's interesting because it fits in with I think there was something you were saying, about Reservation Dogs, that comedies that turn into dramas, and to me it's not that. There's this thing with a lot of comedies now where nothing is really presented as funny, but you are supposed to find it funny anyway.
Interesting.
In the first 13, 14 minutes of Mo, he's driving, he gets fired because someone raided ICE raided his boss's other store, and he's not legal, so he has to find another job. And so he starts, selling random stuff, and his brother is weird, I guess, because he stares at him or something. I don't know. And then he sells this old man a pair of Yeezys, and it's like, I was watching it and I was like, okay, I guess this is funny, but it doesn't feel like the show thinks it's funny. The show is just presenting this stuff, and then I'm supposed to find it funny. And if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. That kind of comedy just doesn't really work for me. And I was thinking of things like Community, which has a paintball episode, which has a D&D episode. These things are presented as funny.
What do you consider a show presenting something as funny? Because I'm assuming you're not talking about a laugh track, obviously.
No, but I mean the paintball episode in Community is not. They know the situation is ridiculous, is what I mean. The situation is presented as ridiculous. The D&D episode is presented as ridiculous. Whereas Mo, to me, feels like this is just watching someone live his actual life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not
It feels like
necessarily.
Colin
Go ahead.
isn't into like the dry humor aspect of some of these comedy shows, which is kind of where comedy has gone towards. Because
Mhm.
dry humor is like we're not setting up a joke. We're saying it as straight as possible and it just happens to be funny. Whereas if you're not doing dry humor, usually you're setting up a joke. There's a punchline somewhere in here. This is meant to be funny. There's a trigger, there's a button.
Mhm.
Button is actually a word that we use a lot in the writers' room because I've worked on a couple of sitcoms at this point. It's like, what's the button of the scene? What is that moment that's going to really make people laugh?
Okay.
I don't think shows like Atlanta or Dave or Mo, it sounds like, do a lot of things like that. Because Community does seem like it would be a different type of humor than
Yeah,
those types
it
of
was
shows.
very NBC primetime comedy style, and it's pretty like it's very over the top in general.
There's a formula.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've thought about the way that shows present. Like I've definitely thought about the dryness of certain shows and the kind of slice of life, just playing it straight. Right? Yeah, it's interesting. That's an interesting take. Interesting 13, 14-minute take because you cheated.
I did do that.
He was double checking to make sure he didn't actually want to watch the show.
But no, what he's supposed to do, Colin, what you have to do is watch 10 minutes and stop, and then you can decide later if you want to keep going. But you can't get that
Here's
extra
the
3 or
thing
4 minutes
about
into your
that.
take.
Because we've talked about that, right? And my issue
Yeah.
with that is if I stop at 10 minutes, I'm never going to come back because I'm going to write it off as a 10-minute take and never come back to it.
Okay. Well, I guess. Well, no. Yeah, this is tricky. You just gotta not do that.
Hey guys, we should probably move into news.
We have so much news, but we're starting with trailers. Trailer tracking. The Last of Us. It's getting a thing. It's getting a
Getting
TV
a
show.
show?
HBO.
Well, I
HBO
mean, they
Max.
announced that a while ago, but yes, we got the first trailer for it.
Yeah, we have a trailer now, which is why we're talking about it. It looks like The Last of Us. I haven't played that game or watched someone play that game or watched the cutscenes on YouTube, so I'm going to pass it to you guys.
I have done a
literally
second of those things.
Yeah, I have not played the game. I did watch since we did that fan cast that me and Dallas knew nothing about the game for, and we're the
Wow.
only people on the fan cast for. Since then, I have watched like a 3-hour cutscene movie edition of The Last of Us.
Supercut?
Yeah, something like that. And I'm doing the same thing for part 2 right now. But I finished watching part 1 just before watching the trailer because I wanted to see what the.
Mhm.
It was actually funny. I had started watching the supercut, and then the day after I started watching it, the trailer came out.
Hey, quick question for
Wow.
you. Does that Supercut have the DLC in it?
I don't know. Probably not. I didn't check.
You would know. It's a lot of Ellie not with Joel doing some other stuff with another kid.
No.
You would know. Okay,
No.
so you don't have that. So that's going to be in the show.
Oh.
We've seen that's going to be in the show, so you won't know what that is going in.
Nice.
that's
Maybe
cool.
I just won't watch the DLC. I'll just watch the show now. The show
Yeah.
looks like the game. It looks like it is
It do.
very much got the same tone, same vibe, country music playing, zombies attacking vibe as The Last of Us.
That
Yes.
it does. It's interesting because my feelings on The Last of Us have always been, I think it's totally cool. I haven't played it myself. I don't really want to, just by the way it plays. But, I think it's super cool. I think the story's great. I despise the ending. And so I'm so excited to see when if the first season goes through the ending the same way that the game did, how people are going to react to that and like what the conversation about that is going to be.
Okay.
Because I have very many thoughts about how I hate that ending. Like, I don't think it's bad. It's just I disagree with it.
Interesting.
We can talk about that off
Yeah.
mic. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on that because I didn't really have too big of an emotion about the ending.
Yeah, I have all of my emotions about that game are about the ending. Like, I think the rest of it is cool, but then the ending hits and I'm like, wow, you just ruined this entire thing.
I can tell that
completely.
playing that game would stress me out too much, which is why I would never play it.
It looks super stressful.
The best way I can put it, to me, without getting too into things, because of the ending of the first game, the big thing that happens in the second game that everybody was mad about, I was like, no, that's totally fine. They kind of deserve that.
Oh,
Like, it completely changed how I viewed a character.
I
Like,
see. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, okay, I understand that feeling. Yeah, but the show looks great.
It does, and it looks very much like the images. Like they have the clickers, and they look like the clickers, and they sound like the clickers, and
They
I
click.
think that, yeah, it seems like they're really trying to get as much of the game in there as they can, which is really exciting.
Pedro Pascal looks great. I think one of Dallas's fan casts is actually in the show, Gabriel Luna.
Nice.
playing the character that I think you actually fan casted him as.
To the brother?
Which is funny because you
Nice.
didn't know anything about that game when we did that
I
fan
sure
cast.
didn't.
We didn't know a thing.
Love it.
What is her name? Melanie Linsky is on the show. She's very well known for Ever After. She's on Yellow Jackets. She was
Wait,
revealed to
who
be
is
on the
she
show.
on Yellow Jackets? Because I thought, is that Shauna? Because she looked like Shauna. I was like, if that's Shauna, I'm so in.
Melanie Linsky. I was correct about her last time. Ha 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 ha. Shauna.
Aha.
Oh, it is Shauna. Oh, that's excellent. I'm so down. She's
Yeah,
great on Yellow Jackets.
She's on the show playing a character named Kathleen. It looks like, according to IMDb. Yeah, the show looks really good. I'm intrigued by how they're going to do it. Video game, TV shows, and movies typically don't do too well, but this one looks like it's actually really well done.
But
and they got Craig
see,
Mazin, who is a very
he did The
successful
Hangover,
writer.
and then he did Chernobyl. The
And
thing about
both
this
of the things are
one,
great.
What
I
did he
don't
do with The
think-
Hangover?
I don't know. I just know he was involved. I think he might have written them.
Huh. Didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
he
don't know.
wrote
I
The
mean, I feel
Hangover.
like I would not be worried about this one not doing well because this is the game that people have said you could just watch the cutscenes and it would make a really good movie.
That's
you
true.
don't-
And I did
blah, blah,
just watch the cutscenes. So
Right.
also,
I
Dallas,
disagree
he's
with
written
that
for
take,
Mythic
but
Quest.
like,
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
yeah, I think this will be fine. I think this will probably be a good like 2 or 3 season show. It won't go on forever. I think it will
I'm
have an ending.
curious as to whether or not they'll ever get to part 2 and if they'll ever adapt it.
Oh,
seeing
I'm
as
sure
how
they will.
Fans...
Well, what people have said based on watching the trailer, and I tried to see this and I couldn't quite make it out, is that the end of the game is in the trailer. So this season 1 will go through the entire first game. And if that and Left Behind, which is the DLC, and if it does that, then it makes sense that where they would go next is either number
you could
2
always-
or the time in between.
Yeah, I was going to say, you
Because
could
there is
always
a
do
time
a
zone.
gap time thing in between and then
You
do
could.
part 2. There's enough space and
I think they'll
creativity
get to
do
part
that.
2, though. I think they will. There's no reason not to.
When they do part 2, I want them to give Laura Bailey a role the same way that Ashley Johnson has a role in The Last of Us right now in the TV series.
Yeah, I just want people to get over themselves, I think, is mostly what I want if they adapt part 2. Because the thing is, the people who can think critically say that game is incredible. And then you have the people who are like, no, she did a bad thing and I don't like her. And it's like, that's not... Learn to think critically, you idiots.
Well, we should move on to the Cabinet of Curiosities, which is for you guys.
Unfortunately, yes, it is. Ah, man.
Colin?
It looks so...
If you watch this show,
I
I don't want to hear one more thing about you not liking horror.
Listen.
This
No.
show-
What if I watch the show and then I hate it?
Okay. If you finish this show,
Okay.
don't
That's fair.
finish this show, Colin.
Okay.
Because this show is pure, uncut.
No, yeah, there's
Horror.
nothing in it. Like, I can watch a trailer for a Mike Flanagan show and see stuff
Mhm.
in it that's like, okay,
Yeah.
there's going to be horror, but ooh, the characters or ooh, the story or the setting or whatever is like, oh, I'm really down. Like the Midnight Club trailer, loved it.
Yeah.
This is straight up horror. This is like nothing but horror. This is not like it doesn't like, are these people gonna heal? Are they going through like heal through their trauma? I doubt it. No, I think it's just gonna be scary as shit. But Guillermo del Toro, so I kind of want to see it.
It looks interesting. Interesting cast. Rupert Grint's in there. Eric Andre. What is he doing here? I'm very excited to see what he's gonna do in a horror show. He's gonna play it straight. He's gonna be silly. I saw someone who looks like Sophia Botella. I don't know if it was her, but we'll find out. I'm excited because I am out and open as a horror fan. I'm like Colin, so I'm proud. I watch it and like you guys, I don't like body horror stuff.
There's so much in this trailer.
So like, yeah,
I was thinking that there's.
I
so
have a thing
much.
for certain horror visuals, like glowing eyes in the darkness. I'm about it. That's me. Like, ooh, that's a really
Okay.
cool shot. So like, some of these visuals are hell yeah, and then some of them are hell nah, oh. So like, I feel like I'll be very conflicted when the show comes out, especially with it being an anthology. And anthologies are inherently
right.
this one might hit, this one might suck. You might hate this one, but you might love the next one. We'll see. We'll see what we got. I'm curious about the curiosities.
See, that's my problem. Is that it's difficult because it's an anthology. Because I might watch one episode and go, "Oh, that wasn't so bad," and then watch the next one and be like, "Oh, that was the worst thing I've ever seen." But then it's like, "But what if the next one isn't?" So it's like
That's the thing. That's the thing, though. Anthologies hook you because you could watch one and it can be terrible, but then you're thinking, I have no reason to believe the next one will also be terrible, and then they get you, and then you end up watching like 10 episodes of some show on HBO you didn't know existed, but you watched it because it was an anthology, and now you're like, well, I've wasted my life.
I don't know if it's that bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched the show I didn't really care for a couple years ago. Anyway, anything else to say about scary stuff, Colin?
I wish I weren't interested in it.
That's fair. But speaking about something you're not interested in, Hugh Jackman is coming back as Wolverine in Deadpool 3, releasing September 26th, 2024, until they inevitably push it back or forward, whatever they do, because I doubt in 2 years we're going to have the same exact release date.
Oh, I'm sorry, September 6th, 2024.
My notes. All right, cool. Even better.
Yes, I'm firmly of the belief that studios should stop telling us release dates and just give the
Yeah, I
film the
don't know why
time it
they
needs
do
to be
that.
made.
Especially so far in advance. Like, bro, I'm not memorizing this date. So in a couple of years when you change it, I'm not going to be like, hey, man, in September of 2022, you said it was the 6th. Like, I don't care.
Also, like, just given how much work movies take to make.
Yeah.
Like, this is not, you can set a date, that's fine.
Especially since it sounds like Blade just got pushed back. Just stop giving us release dates. But anyway, Hugh Jackman being Wolverine for Deadpool. I feel like this is a good way for Hugh Jackman to end his career as Wolverine. Just doing it in an MCU movie with Deadpool.
I agree.
Because, like, yes, Logan was a great ending to the Wolverine story, just like a great closed chapter. But, like, for Hugh Jackman, it's just like, I think he always said that the one thing that would bring him back to playing Wolverine would be getting to be in the MCU.
And here we are.
Here we are, and it's Deadpool's first movie in the MCU. I do wonder if it's going to be called Deadpool 3 or if they'll try and change, like, the naming convention so that it's like, it's still part of that Deadpool franchise, but also it's now in the MCU, so it's different.
I mean, you know, the movie itself will talk about that. So,
the movie
whether
itself
the title does or
will.
not.
I just wonder if the title will do so as well, because this is Deadpool 1 and 2 were the Fox universe, and those universes exist, but they are not our main universes anymore. They are part of the multiverse now. What are we going to change about this to make it different from those, but also still the Deadpool that we want to see in theaters?
Yes. I, as the biggest Deadpool fan anyone ever known.
It's true.
Yep.
I love everything about this. I love Ryan Reynolds. I love Hugh Jackman. I love their friendship with each other. Them being able to act together on screen as these characters for the first time, because it's never happened before, because Fox didn't make a movie where that happened. I'm so excited to see it. The way that they announced it, like Ryan's marketing, he's always the best for me. And just the casual Hugh Jackman in the background. Hey, you want to play Wolverine again? Sure, Ryan. Just like, I love these two so much.
And then the follow-up video the next day with here's what's going to be happening.
Was so great. And I just love them. Hugh Jackman, that's Wolverine. He's been Wolverine for
Forever.
2 decades.
I think he has the world record for actor who has acted the longest as a particular superhero character. I think it was him and Sir Patrick Stewart, and now it'll just be him. They broke the record when Logan came out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Ever since 2000. I'm so excited. And, you know, as much as I don't need a release date this far in advance, something about seeing a date for it did make me giddy inside. Like,
I think that logo made me a little bit more giddy.
That logo was amazing. The logo with the scratch, and then seeing the release date, I was like, oh my God, it's happening. Like, it's real. Which, you know, they could easily just change it. But still, it's just like seeing that logo, the release date, them together. I'm so excited.
Now I just need to know if Morena Baccarin's coming back and if Zazie Beetz is coming back.
I need Zazie Beetz to come back. Like, that's important to me.
I feel like you can bring Morena Baccarin back, and now you can finally make her character a mutant.
True. Do what you should have did last time. I'd love it. I want all this. But yeah, I'm very excited, and I will be for the next couple years.
Plus, she and Ryan Reynolds have such great chemistry. I don't want him with anybody else in those movies.
I'm so excited.
Speaking of things to be excited about, I think once again, me and you are excited about it. Colin is not. The live action, The Last Airbender, several new cast members.
They cast some people, and I really like these choices. We're back to Amber Mid-Thunder, ladies and gentlemen.
Amber!
Ladies and thadies, as Harley Quinn would say. Who is she playing? She's Yue?
She is.
Amber Mid-Thunder is Yue.
Which, she seems a little bit older for the guy
These
playing
ages are all over the place.
Sokka.
Like,
but I love her.
Utkarsh is Boomy. Utkarsh isn't 115 years old.
That was one of those things where I was just like, yo, you just put prosthetics on him and it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, it's the same with Danny Pudi as the Mechanist.
The
He's
Mechanist?
like, yeah. But I love all three of these actors we're talking about. And I know that Utkarsh is going to kill it as Boomy. And I'm just
He
so
kind of
excited to
looks
see
like
him.
Boomy too when you put these pictures next to each other.
Oh, I'm so excited. Arden Cho is June. I haven't seen Arden Cho since Teen Wolf.
She has a new show on Netflix
Oh,
that
dope.
you would not be into, but she has a new
Oh,
show on
cool.
Netflix, so she's working, and we're happy for her.
Yes, dope for her and everybody watching the show. Also,
George
Takei
Takei as
as
Ko.
That's an interesting
I'm
choice.
with it.
I think it's going to work well.
I think it works
It's
because
not-
Ko, I don't feel like he needs to have a sinister voice because he himself is already sinister just by what he is and what he does.
But the thing is, George Takei can do sinister.
Like when you think about it,
it's just George
Ko
Takei. Like,
doesn't,
Ko doesn't what?
he doesn't do a lot of sinister shit to Aang. He's mostly pretty conversational. He
Right,
just
and
takes
that's
the
why you
opportunity
need
when he
that
can.
voice, because everything he does is speaking. And obviously, horrifying face magic.
Yeah.
But like, I think Ko is played by the guy who plays Avaros in Dragon Prince.
Oh, Erebos?
Eric
Mhm.
Dellums. And that's like one of the
Ooh.
best voices in the game. And George Takei has a great voice too, but it's one of those situations where sometimes people say like, oh, I don't want someone famous playing this character because I only see that person. And I don't agree with that. But when I hear George Takei, I'm hearing George Takei.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to see him go like sinister or menacing or whatever they're going to do with Ko. It's just an interesting choice. I don't know the other three people, Momona Tamada, Talia
So
Tran, and James.
I don't know Momona Tamada. However, I just discovered that Talia Tran is the girl who did the voice of Noi, the Khan baby in Raya and the Last Dragon.
That's funny.
So automatically I'm like, oh, I love this for you. Congratulations on your new role, because I love Raya and the Last Dragon. It's like one of my favorite movies.
Khan baby.
Khan baby. Yeah, I think that they're putting together a really good cast for this live action series. I'm really interested to see what they do with it.
Yeah, same. I'm ready to thirst over June.
Oh my gosh. It can't be any worse than the live action movie. So
That didn't happen.
You have to acknowledge it. You don't get to pretend it didn't
You have to
exist.
what?
You have to take
I
that
can say
trauma
whatever I want
and
didn't
move
exist.
through it.
there is no live action in Ba Sing Se.
Exactly.
It exists. You just have to cope with that.
I will not.
I will cope with it, because one day we will be doing a reaction video. When this TV series comes out, we will be doing a reaction video.
Yes. I'm so
gonna be amazing.
excited.
That'll make it worth it. That is my coping. But yeah, I'm very excited. I love this cast. Everyone is great. Even the people I've never seen before. I'm sure they're great too. Yeah, I'm here for it.
I am still thinking about that age difference between Amber Midthunder and the kid that they've got playing Sokka, though.
I mean, I feel like that's fine because it doesn't really matter anyway. Spoiler alert,
Yeah, they met
don't
and
end
then
up
she
together.
turned into the moon, and then that's rough, buddy. Like,
I mean, they had a whole relationship, though, for that few minutes they were together.
on a bridge like once, he carved her a really ugly thing. They kissed
Yeah.
once.
they look into each other's eyes. They won't kiss. She'll turn into the moon.
Oh, okay. Actually, you know
Bye,
what? I
Amber.
feel a lot better. She's only 5 years older than him. We're fine.
Oh, okay.
How old is he?
Like 20? He was born in 2002.
Oh, he's
Okay.
20. He's 20.
Oh,
He's
that's
20.
fine.
It's not like the Breakfast Club.
I thought he was like legitimately a teenager. No, we're fine.
That's fair.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're good.
Because I know that the
Dodge
others
the
are
bullet.
like legitimately teenagers. So
Right.
Mhm.
All right, then we're all good. We're
we're
safe.
fine. We're fine. Next up.
Next up is mostly for me, but also kind of for Demi. Chloe Bennet is joining Dave season 3. I didn't even know they announced season 3. I mean, they probably did it a while ago and I forgot because I forget things because there's too much news. Quake is on Dave.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations to Chloe on getting the bag. I also want to say, Marvel Studios, please bring Chloe Bennet back as Quake in the MCU. Thank you. This has been your regularly scheduled begging session for Quake to return to the MCU.
Jimmy,
Okay.
listen. They're making a movie directly for you, and that's not enough.
That's true. They are doing that.
Hold on. They are making a movie directly for me. I didn't ask for them to. It just happened that way. This is legitimately, I just want her back. Can I just have her back?
Are you one of those? Someone does something for you, like, I didn't ask you to do that type niggas.
No, I'm not
That's
one of
cool.
those.
That's-
I'm not one of those. But I've been asking for Quake for a lot longer than I've been asking for a Thunderbolts movie.
That is fair. But yeah, maybe they'll see her and Dave and be like, yo, we like Chloe. Let's bring her back.
I'm still very low hopes for her having a surprise appearance in Secret Invasion, but that's just me. Dallas, you
never
like
know.
Dave. You actually watched the show. I am just a Chloe Bennet fan.
Yes, apparently She's going to appear in a multi-episode arc as Robin, a photographer from Wisconsin whom Dave meets while on tour. All right. I'm just here for more Dave and people that I recognize being in it. This show is super weird. It gets weirder by the season. I'm a little
Like
worried about
Atlanta.
what season 3 is going to be. Yeah. A lot of season 3 of Atlanta worried me. So with that being what FX does. And a lot of people compare Dave to Atlanta, much to the dismay of Donald Glover. But, I get the comparison. Similar network. We talked about the comedy style that Colin doesn't vibe with of these shows. They're weird and they're married by weird rappers. But oh well, I'm here for it because I love this show. And season 2's finale was one of my favorite season finales of any show ever. So if they can keep that momentum going and add Chloe Bennet, I say why not? Let's do the thing. And on to someone that Demi and I both like in a story that only I think I care about. Jonathan Majors is going to play, he's in early talks to play Dennis Rodman in Lionsgate's 48 Hours in Vegas. I hope this happens.
I mean, I'll probably watch it.
Because Jonathan Majors is amazing. Dennis Rodman is fascinating.
I used to think Dennis Rodman was a very fascinating figure when I was a kid, so I'd probably watch it.
Yeah, when we were a kid, every time we looked up, Dennis Rodman was doing something wild.
Exactly. Had a different hair color, was wearing a wedding dress. I don't know.
Right.
But also, he was on the Bulls, and I was a massive Chicago Bulls fan as a child.
Yes, as many of the Space Jam babies were. I'm excited for this. I watched The Last Dance like a year or two after everybody else did because that's just what I do. I run on my own pace. Don't worry about me. Dennis Rodman is such an interesting dude. Like, he just dipped out during the finals. He dipped out to Vegas for 48 hours with permission. But, like, who does that? Nobody knew what he was doing. Presumably drugs and alcohol. We don't know. But he came back because he was that dude. He was like, yeah, I'm great. I'm really good at this. And I'm just going to come back after whatever I do in Vegas. Who knows what he did in Vegas? People probably do. And we're going to see Jonathan Majors do it. Maybe. I don't know. I'm very excited. Jonathan Majors is in a movie that I don't want to see right now called Devotion. Everybody else go see it because support Jonathan Majors in black art and naval pilots or whatever. I don't know. The movie looks boring to me.
That one.
Yeah, that one. But he's also in The Harder They Fall and the episode of Loki that I really like. And presumably a lot of Marvel stuff going forward.
And
he's also in Lovecraft Country, which I adore.
I was going to say. That you didn't...
yeah. This is where my dad used to beat me, lady.
There you go. I always got to give you the opportunity.
Yeah, alley-oop. I'm always here for more Jonathan Majors, especially after The Harder They Fall. He became one of my favorite actors during me watching that movie half a dozen times. I'm here for it.
Speaking of Marvel, you know what we should talk about real quick? Just a real quick mention. The fact that Armor Wars is no longer a television show. It is now being made into a movie.
Oh, yeah, like Intergalactic.
Well, I mean, even more so because, like, I feel like Intergalactic probably didn't have a bunch of episodes, whereas this was like, we were planning 6 episodes, but now we're just making a 2-hour movie.
Yeah. I wonder why they did that.
I don't know. They said that they really wanted to make sure that it fit the medium that they were going for. And I don't know. Maybe there's just so many suits involved that they were like, nah, we don't have the visual effects budget for a TV show. We need a movie stat.
We're making too many things. Turn it into a movie, please.
I wonder if they're going to, I mean, it'd probably just be called Armor Wars, but I think it would be cool if it was Iron Man 4 Armor Wars and just continue the Iron Man franchise name.
I mean, I get it, but like,
it's technically an Iron Man story. It's all about.
He did.
I mean,
like, he's gone though.
He's gone, but it is still all about his tech and doing stuff with his tech. It's kind of like doing a Captain America movie. We have a new Captain America, and while Rhodey is not Iron Man, he is kind of the next in line type of person.
It's kind of like Black Panther, although I think we're getting a new Black Panther, so it doesn't quite.
Yeah, we are getting a new Black Panther. Or we call it War Machine, Armor Wars.
That would be dope. Or what was he, Iron Patriot, when he was all...
We're not doing Iron Patriot. No.
Proud to be an American.
But yeah, I thought that was an interesting development this week.
We will see what happens. Because Marvel is doing so much. But speaking of movies...
Should probably slow down.
They should, for everybody's sake. But speaking of movies, Community is getting a movie. It's going to be on Peacock. Colin has Peacock. And Colin watched Community.
Yeah.
So Colin, what are your thoughts?
It's kind of what I said in the chat. Like, am I really going to watch this movie just to say that I've watched all of Community? Because Community started off really strong and got less interesting as it went on. As people
but like they were losing people a lot, right? Toward the end?
They were. And that's probably why it got less interesting.
They were dropping like flies.
So it's like, it feels weird that I guess they finally got what they wanted, but I'm not sure how much I'm going to care at this point. because I kind of made my peace with Community, you know?
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. Community was really great, and I really liked it. Shout out to Gabby, that girl we used to know, who put me on the Community like 10 years ago.
Dear God.
And then fell out the face of the earth. But
we've literally seen her within the last couple of weeks.
That's true. We did see her in person.
And we plan to see her again probably within the next few weeks.
She does not exist as a collective hallucination.
Bruh, people who aren't even on this podcast were there.
Colin, I'm talking about Community right now.
Continue.
So yeah, I really like the show. It's part of the reason why I love Donald Glover so much around that time and forever in perpetuity. But I don't think he's coming back. The article says bringing back original stars Joe McHale, Danny Pudi, Allison Brie, Jillian Jacobs, Jim Rash, and Ken Jeong.
Oh, cool. I'm out.
Like, yeah, we lost Troy. Obviously, Pierce isn't coming back.
Yeah, that's fine. But
yeah,
Donald Glover's not coming back.
But like, Troy was the main reason I loved the show so much.
But it just feels like if you're finally putting Community to bed, you should do it with the original people who were there, except for Chevy Chase, because he...
Yeah, not him.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is also just the first news about this. There is a chance that they're probably still in talks trying to get Donald Glover to come back. So you never know. Things can change by the time this movie comes out. I am somebody who has never seen Community, not a single episode. But yeah, I mean, they've been off air for what, like a few years now? They probably had a nice little resting period and, you know, get their stuff together, nice and refreshed. And now they're going to write a movie. I do think it's kind of cool that they predicted 6 seasons in a movie. I think that's very fun. Great. I am a fan of those types of things. I think that's really awesome.
Yeah.
So congrats to you Community fans out there on getting a movie. That sounds really cool.
I also love the way that they announced it with the graphic that said hashtag and a movie. I was like, that's cute. I would love to see present day Donald Glover playing Troy from Community, because since he's left Community, that man has had 2 or 3 Pokemon evolutions into a different kind of being. And just like, This Is America, Awaken My Love, Donald Glover going back to play Troy. I need it. I need to see it. I don't know if I'll see it, but I need to see it. So that is our news. Colin.
Me.
Indifferent Opinions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rattle off a
speed
thing.
round.
You're going to say a thing.
Okay.
Deadpool 3.
Well, have fun with that. I just, like, the announcement almost filled me with dread.
Do you think something's going to happen to you if this movie comes out?
No, there's just something about, like, Ryan Reynolds just annoys the shit out of me.
Oh, that's true.
So having him, quote unquote, forced upon me again is difficult.
You don't have to go see the movie.
An extreme choice of words, Colin.
No, I kind of do, though.
You don't, like, though. That's the thing.
No, no, we're not doing this again with you, Colin.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like, this is a big one. What if Gabby?
You don't even care about the MCU. You don't
get
have
into
to
a car
watch
crash.
it.
What if we can't keep talking to Colin about how he doesn't have to watch movies?
Especially because he barely watches TV shows. Anyway,
because he doesn't watch things already. Anyway, speaking of TV shows, Dave, you don't care.
Nope.
Any other thoughts? Got it.
Don't care at all. I have not watched any of it, and I don't plan to.
Dennis Rodman, Jonathan Majors, Vegas.
Probably won't see it. I know nothing about Dennis Rodman, and I'm okay with that.
Armor Wars, Iron Man Wars, the movie.
Like, okay, I'm already not interested in the MCU, and then you tell me this is a movie that was a TV show, and it's about Rhodey, and I guess he's gonna fight other people in suits. Like, wow, that sounds boring. I'm good.
That has been Indifferent Opinions, and it sounds exactly like you would expect.
Indifferent.
It to sound. Okay, so our different opinions have been piling up. All right, I'm just going to say shout out to Leanne. Thank you, Leanne, for your comment on our Hocus Pocus movie reaction. I know you love the movie. I'm sorry I don't like it. I love you, Leanne. Thank you for listening. Yeah, that's the abridged version of Different Opinions.
I like it. You still got a shout out in there.
Yeah, Leanne's important to us. But yeah, that's the episode. We did it. We reviewed 4 things. Colin talked about 14 minutes of a thing. You were here. You know what happened. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you so much. Thank you to Crown Digital, Brandon and Io for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Brandon, again, shout out to you for getting married. Welcome to the Married Club. Gang, gang. To me, thank you for editing, putting us on YouTube, and putting yourself through Blonde for 2 hours and 46 minutes. Goodness gracious.
I mean, technically not all of that. I didn't watch the credits.
Fair. Colin, thanks for your 14-minute take coming through for the vibes. You went 0 for 4 on reviews, but you came through with the take, and you know, that's what you're here for. Audience, what do you think of all the stuff we talked about? All of it. So much. Did you like Blonde? If so, explain yourself in the comments.
Please explain.
Or, talk to us about the other things because we like those.
Oh, quick. If you like Blonde, explain to me why apparently the title is in 3 different fonts and it's one word. Can someone explain that? Anybody? Not Andrew Dominic, though. I don't want to talk to him. He sounds like he sucks.
Anyway, hit us on Twitter at y'all_different or Instagram and Tumblr at Creative Differences Podcast or Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC. If you want to talk about how dope and beautiful and just everything Intergalactic is, find me on Twitter and or Instagram at King Named Simba.
You can find me on Twitter at Duck McGuck.
And if you guys want to give me recommendations on Marilyn Monroe movies I should watch, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Films. Dreamy is spelled DREEMI. Thanks again for joining us. Next up, we will be doing a movie reaction to the most recent Pinocchio. So stay tuned for that.
Well, the most recent Pinocchio, as of this recording, there will
the 2022 Pinocchio on Disney Plus.
Which one? Okay, thank you. You have to specify on Disney.
That one's not out yet.
I know, not of now, but if someone listens to this in December, the most recent one is going to be that one.
Look at Colin being I don't know.
Stickler.
Oh, yeah, that. Also, if you want to find Gabby, she's on Twitter at I wish a witch would. But you can't find her because she doesn't exist. All right, it's been different. Bye.
Bye.
Everyone, welcome to the Splash Zone. It's me. It's me this time. Who would have thought of all the things to thirst over? Like 5 minutes of Hannah Waddingham in Hocus Pocus 2. Can I explain myself? No, I won't. You saw the movie. Maybe you didn't. Watch the trailer. Also, shout out to Art and Show as June.
Oh, that'll be a splash zone for sure. Splashing, waterbending, everything.
Waterbending.
She doesn't even waterbend.
You shut up, Colin.
No, but Dallas will be waterbending.
Whoa.
I would like to leave.